What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Yak Nasty Fishing. You know where you're at. And I tell you what, guys, this week is going to be an awesome week. We're going to keep it simple, yet we're going to get a little deep. We're going to have the beginning of a 3-part series for this week, guys. I might be able to break it down into 2 parts. We'll see. But I'm looking at a 3-part series all about worms, guys. I'm telling you, worms. Every kind of worm, pick a worm, we got worms. You got worms, we got worms. All right, guys. So in the first part, I have a bunch of notes. So if you see me looking down, I got notes, guys. This is deep, all right? This is going to be for the beginners and the advanced anglers. I'm telling you, through and through. If you're a beginner, you're going to be seeing different types of worms, so you'll understand when guys are bringing up worms. We're also going to be going over some talking points when it comes to worms, like buoyancy, okay, action of the worm. That's all probably in the part 2 series, guys, the retrieves, stuff like that. And then we're going to get into rigging in the 3rd episode and which worms you want to use for which rigging or what is most common. You can mix it up. You can experiment with this stuff, guys. Yes, from the advanced to the beginner, there's something in here for everyone. I do believe, guys. So before we get too deep into the worm talk, go ahead and hit that like, hit subscribe for your boy. All right, I want to shout out the House of Coffee right here, Dover, Delaware, local business drop. All right, if you're here in Dover, Delaware, or in the area, you're riding through, stop by the House of Coffee. All right, that's where I love to get my coffee from. Me and the wife, we do our coffee dates there, and they really make a mean coffee. One of my favorites is called the Funky Monkey, and that is a mocha drink. Got a little chocolate in it and a hint of banana, guys. I'm telling you, House of Coffee is awesome. All right, another local business shout out. I want to shout out one you haven't heard here in a while for those that have been around, and for those that are new, you're about to hear it. Cheswold News and Tobacco. Shout out to my man Dave over there and all those folks working hard, keeping those laundromats straight. And hey, Cheswold News and Tobacco has everything you're going to need and more. So go check them out if you're in the area. That's Cheswold, Delaware, man. Go ahead and tell them I sent you. All right, guys. So let's get into the worm talk. It's pretty big, vast plane of baits. I mean, worms, whew, man, take me back all the way to the beginning of fishing, all right? Quick story. I remember back in the day, I was about 16, maybe 17, all right, just before I got my own vehicle, right? I used to ride my bicycle to the local Guns and Goodies. I don't even think they have Guns and Goodies anymore, but I used to ride to the Guns and Goodies, and I used to get worms, all right? That's when I was broke. I had no money. I was like a bag boy at the local farm fresh market, and yeah, I would take $5-10, right? Go to Guns and Goodies and load up on worms. That's when you could buy the worms for $10 a worm, okay? This is how long ago I've been fishing for bass, all right? And I remember worms were almost the only thing I could get. I don't even think crawls got real advanced at that point. We had the crankbaits, we had spinner baits, we had our buzz baits, and, you know, good old faithful worms, all right, guys? So I used to go to the local Guns and Goodies, get a whole bunch of 10-inch worms, different colors, red shads, all kinds of different things. But yeah, guys, I digress. It just takes me back to those memories of when I really got deep into bass fishing and, you know, fell in love with it, I tell you. But yeah, let's get into these worms. So the first worm, I'm going to get this out the way, okay? A lot of beginners know about this worm. A lot of advanced veterans they know this worm, okay? I'm gonna tell you, this worm is a staple in bass fishing nowadays. It's been around for a while, and no one can explain why it is so good, all right? And the first category of worm we're talking about are stick baits, all right? Stick baits. Everybody knows stick baits. Gary Yamamoto has made these things famous, all right? The stick bait, all right? The stick bait, very simple. Let me open one up for you. Is exactly how it sounds, guys. I got baits all over my desk. You're gonna hear a bunch of plastic in this episode. So this is a good old stick bait right there, guys. All right, it's nothing but a stick of soft plastic. That's it. It's just a very simple mold. You know, a little bit taper to the tail there. I mean, real simple stuff. But they're not all created equal. All right, guys. So I love a stick bait. You got the Gary Yamamoto's. I'm telling you, the colors are phenomenal. Let me find one. I got another one. Yum Dingers, guys. The Yum Dingers, awesome, awesome stick baits right here, man. Oh my goodness, the colors that Yum has, but you notice this one's is not as loose, all right, or flexible as that other one. But these Yum Dingers, wow, phenomenal. They work just as well as those Gary Yamamoto's. All right. Stick baits come in different kinds of densities of plastic. You got your salts, you got your hand pours, you got your custom ones like this one here, S&F Fishing. I had these a while ago, but all right, look at that. See, that's a stiffer plastic, guys. This is a hand pour. You can see how this one has, hope we can focus it in a little bit. Let's see. I don't know if we can focus it in, but you see how it looks like it has a little glitteriness? Those are air pockets, guys. All right, that were in the mold is like a whole bunch of soda pop bubbles in that mold. But when you pull it out, this is what you come up with. And guys, the little bit of light that reflects off those little divots, I guess, in the plastic, those little bubble, holes, pot holes, whatever you want to call them. But you see how they kind of glit off a little bit of light. So I think that these baits are fantastic, all right, on the low, but you just can't go get them everywhere. So I do like to stop in and get some of those local baits, those hand pours, those local guys like myself. They're just pouring their baits and they're selling them in the local tackle shops. And sometimes you find hidden gems like this here where it just gets a shimmer, but it is a denser plastic. It's not as flexible as the ones we just seen, like the Yums and the Yamamoto's. All right, Yamamoto's, I'm sorry. All right, so when it comes to stick baits, they are very, very simple category. It's a vast category. You can buy the molds and do them yourself, okay? With the do it mold combinations they have out here, you can do all kinds of things. So with that being said, that first worm, stick bait. The first category to go over. The next category that we're going to jump into is going to be straight tail worms. Okay, straight tail worms consist of, baits like the robo worm. All right, I have a million packs of robo worms. Man, dude, I have a lot of worms, but straight tail worms, guys. In this case, they're not real thick. This is just a robo worm. All right. You see that tail right there? It's kind of bent tail, but it's straight. Let me grab another one. That one looks all messed up. But you see, you got a straight tail worm. It's not a whole lot to it. It's just a straight little tail. Looks like a slender little worm. All right. A lot of people, when they say straight tail worm, they could also be talking about a stick bait. Most people call a stick bait. but that's where you want to really know what they're talking about. Say, do you mean like a robo worm? Do you mean like, a cream worm that you get at Walmart? These straight tail worms like this here by Cream. All right. It's got a little flat pressed tail, but it's not really any crazy feature to these worms. This is another nice one here. Little straight tail worms. All right, guys. The straight tail worm is a very versatile bait as well. And guys, man, you will be surprised. Wait till I show you how we're going to rig them up. And I can tell you where we're going to throw these things. Very good bait. Robo worms, I love them. Straight tail worms in general, I love straight tail worms, man. You can really mix it up a little bit with that straight tail worm, a little bit more than you can with a stick bait. So your straight tail worms, like robo worms, all right, like these here, like your cream worms that you get from Walmart. There are so many straight tail worms. They got them by Zoom. You have X Zone worms. You just look up straight tail worms in your Google search. You'll find them. Tackle Warehouse, Dick's Sporting Goods. You will find straight tail worms just about anywhere, guys. So, hey, second category already in the books, the straight tail worm. So, moving on to the next worm category, because these worm categories, they can get deep. We can get stuck down a rabbit hole in any one of these categories. And so I'm going to try to avoid that as much as possible, guys. So the next category of worms we're going to talk about. Here we go. Where's that at? So the next worm that we're getting ready to talk about, guys, is I don't see too many guys out here fishing them. I don't hear too many guys talking about this category of worms, but this category exists. And yes, it is a very good category because a lot of guys are not throwing these types of worms. All right, guys. And the type of worm I'm talking about is going to be the bulbous tail worm. All right. I call it a bulbous tail worm. Pretty simple. The tail is bulbous and bulb-like. All right. And what I mean by bulbous tail worms, all right, in this case, we have a worm by 13 Fishing right here. It's called the bubble butt. All right. This little thing has a bulbous tail. Let's see if we can get a good look there. You see how it slimmers down right there? It just slenders down and then it pops out to like a little bulb. All right. Even like a flower bulb if you flip it like that, just waiting for those petals to open up, right, guys? So, the bulbous tail worm, I have a few with holes in the back that released the bubbles slowly, and they keep that tail floating up when you have it rigged a couple different ways, all right? So the bulbous tail worm, I love to use in, kind of still water. It has a little bit of motion to it. You like stuff like that. But yeah, this tail sits right up there and it floats and it puts out a little bit of those air bubbles every now and again. And it's just waving. Great secondary action. I love a bulbous tail worm. All right. And that's one by 13 Fishing. And we have another bulbous tail worm by Grand Bass right here. This guy. Ha. Now this guy here, I use it. I'm not even about to take it off. So you guys are getting a sneak peek on how I use it one way, okay? Because you can use this more than one way. But this one here, see, very similar design, right? It comes to a little slim part right here, and then you have that little bubble buttish feature, all right? This is a very awesome worm as well. Man, the plastic on this, if you notice, is looser. All right, it's looser, it's more flexible, it has more flop to it versus that 13 Fishing. It's a little bit stiffer plastic, and everything has its reason, right? So with your softer plastic here, you got your stiffer plastic. So there are things going on within these categories that we're going to get into in the second part of the series, guys. So, these bulbous tail worms, you throw them down in there and you already see one little hint of rigging right here. So you see how I'm rigging it? And that thing's floating up there, just doing its thing. You don't have to move that bait much. It's going to get all the action out of the water current and whatever swims by it, causing it to move, guys. So yeah, bulbous tail worms, man. Another bulbous tail worm, and it's going to be a little bit different than the bubble butt here. Oh, that's that Brandon Polinick moneymaker. You see that? Look at that. It looks like little balls that can't even stop moving. That is a very good flexible plastic. But you see that little bulb on it? All right. I keep this in the category of bulbous tail because even though it's not like the bubble butt type bulbous tail baits, all right, there are many out there that have the sealed butts on them and it's just a bulb of air. Okay, guys, and they do that same action, just don't release a bubble every now and again, all right? But they do have that same action, all right? This money maker, you can, set it up. Either way, you can cut it. There's a couple different ways we can rig this bait, but as you look, the tail on each end, it's a bulb on it. It's like a little ball, all right? So I keep that in the bulbous tail category. All right, guys, and this bait here, it's awesome. Very, very awesome. I was about to dig down a rabbit hole just then, but I got to slow myself up. So yeah, guys, check out bulbous tail worms. Oh my gosh, another great worm to have on deck. You never know what you're going to be facing. And I'm pretty sure not a lot of guys are throwing that category of worms. I'm just saying, something to think about. The next worm we're going to talk about, the next worm category we're going to talk about is going to be a little bit different category. I've seen them the last few years. I've used them. They work great. I don't know. That design just really shows off and it catches some nice fish. And the next category, I only found one pack for this video. I pulled out a bunch of baits, but I had a whole lot more baits to go through if I really wanted to find the rest of this category. I will probably do that sometime soon, because yeah, but the ribbed worm, all right, this one here by Big Bites, all right, as you can see already, it is ribbed, all right, and what we mean by ribbed is this right here. You see how it has the ribbing, all right, like flaps of a radiator going on there, all right? Now, this worm, it does have a little bit of a bulbous tail, but it is not completely bulbous, okay? It's a ribbed worm. These worms, they get bit, all right? The action in these worms is amazing. And yeah, man, when you come across ribbed worms, like the Big Bite, it's not exactly symmetrical, so you get a different kind of action with this particular bait. But ribbed worms do fantastic, guys. These things have so much secondary action, great primary action. A ribbed worm is great. There are different companies out there that make them. I done got my hands all greasy, but there are so many different companies out there that make a ribbed worm. Just take your time, search through them, check them out, man, and make sure you have a few of these, because not a lot of guys are throwing these as well. I'm telling you, I don't know. A lot of guys go fishing, but not a lot of guys fish a whole lot of baits. A lot of us fishermen, we get stuck in a certain way. We get confidence in this many baits, and then those are the baits we're fishing with. We don't need anything new because what we're using, it's catching. We don't want anything new because that means we got to learn something new. All right. But if you actually take that effort, you take your time and you search through these categories of baits, man, you're going to realize that there are some gems that guys just are not using. They're just not utilizing it. So you should be the one to take advantage and throw some of these different style worms out here, and you'll just blow their minds, man. They're going to say, what are you doing? You say, throwing a worm. Most people think you're throwing a Senko, all right? That's what that Gary Yamamoto stick bait is. That's a Senko stick bait, all right? The next worm we're gonna talk about, guys, it's a staple, all right? It's a staple in bass fishing. They've been around for forever, guys. I'm pretty sure you know it before I say it because I haven't said it yet, but we're talking about a ribbon tail worm. Yeah, guys, ribbon tail, just a ribbon tail worm. These worms are so awesome. You know, you can get them definitely. All of these baits you can get in different sizes, but a ribbon tail worm is one of the most common worms used today, guys. You can slow roll it. You can swim it back to the boat. You can mix up. I mean, man, I'm getting deep already. See, I just gave you a couple of retrieves that you could do with it. But a ribbon tail worm, I just started going right into it. But a ribbon tail worm is pretty much the staple in fishing. All right, you could use this saltwater fishing, freshwater fishing, all of these techniques you could pretty much use in salt and freshwater. All right, guys. But the ribbon tail, you can use it everywhere, anywhere, and it's going to get bit, especially if you have that right color tied on, man. A ribbon tail worm is phenomenal, okay? You can fish it all the time, anytime, everywhere. All right. So a ribbon tail worm is definitely a worm you want to have around when things get a little tough. All right. When guys are throwing this and throwing that, well, hey, I'm throwing something different. I'm picking up one of these here ribbon tail worms. We're going to go to work and we're going to catch those fish, guys. So ribbon tail worms, wow. Those are what I used to buy for 10 cents a pop at the Guns and Goodies, all right? Ribbon tail worms, 10 cents. Man, I used to get them in the red shad color. I'm telling you, get that red shad, it'll blow your mind. Bam, look at that. I'm already giving out too much juice for later series. But hey, if you come back for the next ones, you're going to hear a whole lot more good juice. I'm telling you, that little bit right there, that's just to get you going. All right, guys. So definitely have a few ribbon tails on the boat when you go fishing because you just never know when you're going to need to pull out the OG ribbon tail worm, guys. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. And you know what's crazy? That's not the last worm. We have like 2 more categories that I'm going to talk about. And then this next category we're talking about, whoo, this is also a staple in bass fishing, guys. And we're talking about the good old trick worm. All right, trick worm, guys. Zoom has pretty much mastered the trick worm. They also can fall in a straight tail worm category. Some guys, when they're talking about trick worms, they're calling it a straight tail worm. And that can happen, but the trick worm, you see how it's almost like a straight tail worm. All right, this is the Zoom trick worm right here in that June bug color. Oh my God, you gotta have a June bug trick worm, guys. You just gotta have it. I said that like I was special. You just gotta have a Zoom June bug trick worm on the boat, y'all. Okay, hey man, when we're talking worms, you I'm confident in every worm I'm showing you, and I have 1,000 more worms, okay, guys? Zoom trick worms, awesome. The KVD, yep, that fat baby finesse. That's a version of a trick worm, all right? And if you notice, the tails have that similar shape, okay? So trick worms, they all pretty much have that similar shape. You see how it slenders down and you'd be like, well, does that fall under bulbous? No, does not fall under bulbous because this is just cupped for action. All right, see if you can see that, but that has a cupping in it. All right, so a little indentation, but the Zoom does not have an indentation. It's just flat. And man, I tell you what, these things are phenomenal. Get a trick worm because the things you could do with a trick worm, oh my God, dude. A trick worm is a staple. I have so many of them. The KVDs, all right. I got the Jean LaRue trick worms. All right, I got some bugs in that bag. Yeah, and you know I keep that with me, obviously. So yeah, man, these trick worms, it's that caffeine infused bait right there. That KVD trick worm, awesome stuff. Um, one of my favorites. One of my favorites. I keep on the wall. I keep a pack on the wall. It's one of my favorites. X Zone trick worm, guys. The X Zone trick worm. Jesus, look at this. Thank you, Lord, for another beautiful day. Look at this. Look at this trick worm, guys. You see that plastic? Look how flimsy and flexible that is. You see that? And you see how that tail is? Has a shape. It's not a total cut, but just a slight indentation on that tail. It's all solid. And wow, look at that. X Zone trick worm is it's one of the top 2 trick worms that I use, all right? I'm going to be honest with you. The X Zone, the KVD, and the Zoom, they're my top 3 trick worms, okay, guys? But you can find a trick worm. They got them at Walmart. They got them everywhere, every tackle shop. You got some custom poured ones out there with a little bit of sturdier plastic, stuff like that. But, guys, the trick worm is phenomenal, and it is another staple in bass fishing. So let me put that back up there. When it comes to fishing these worms, I got worms, all right, guys? And then there's one more worm that I want to mention before we end part 1, okay, and begin part 2, because I think we're probably running on close to a half hour, I do believe. So I just want to bring this up a little bit. A grub tail worm, okay? Grub style tail on a worm, all right? Now, it could fall under a ribbon tail worm. It could, technically, you could call it that, but I don't think it's that, all right? It is a grub tail on a worm. It just has the one curlicue. See, because the ribbon tail, you see that looks more like a ribbon right there, guys. See that? That's more of a ribbon tail, all right? That's a grub tail, all right? Just has that one curl to it, and it kicks as you're fishing that thing along. So a grub tail style worm, my favorite is the thumping dinger. I don't really use any other style grub tail worm. I haven't seen that they work as well as my yum dingers, man, or my yum thumping dingers, all right? That green pumpkin right here, they are an awesome bait to keep on the boat at any time. The versatility in this bait is amazing. So it's just an honorable mention. The grub tail style worm, I don't know. It has to have its own category because that tail, it's not quite a ribbon. You know, I don't know. Tell me what you think down in the comments down below, guys. So, yeah, going through these categories, it looks like there's 7. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 worm categories, guys. That is a lot of worms, okay? A lot of worms. 7 worm categories, all right? Probably didn't even know there were that many worms. There's probably more. There's probably like tentacle worms. I don't know. I probably don't have those, but there's got to be some with like a tentacle on it or something. I don't know. Tentacle worms. But I don't know, guys. Out of these 7 categories of worms, let me know which worms you use the most, if you use them, and if you haven't used worms yet, which ones were you guys eyeing, and which ones do you think seem like the best option for you in your body of water? And if you have any questions, drop them down below in the comments. I hope this information helped you. We're going to be moving on to part 2 of this series here shortly. So, yeah, man, I hope it helped. I hope you learned something. Hit that like, hit subscribe for your boy. You know, leave a comment down below. And, yeah, man, I'll see you on part 2. Worms, man. 7 categories. Who knew? Wow. Tight lines and all that good stuff everybody says. Peace.